I took a lot away from my first school visit, which was to Pike High School. So me, along with two of my education classmates, were sent to a chemistry classroom, and the teacher's name was Miss Wynn. And so right when we got in and we sat down at this table in the back of the room, and right when we sat down, we all started frantically taking notes because she was a great example, I think, of what we could see ourselves being as teachers in the future. So basically what she did is she had a stoichiometry problem up on the board. And each of the kids could see exactly what she was doing because she was writing on an iPad and it projected up onto a screen so they could see every single mark she was making. And she would ask them prompting questions like, oh, what's the next step? Like, what did we do last time? Do you think this is right? Stuff like that. And then she would, if they would get the question right, she'd be like, oh my gosh, great job. Or if they weren't quite there, she'd be like, did you forget your units? Or does someone want to help them out? Like, they're almost there. And then at the very end of the lesson, she also made sure to say, like, oh, don't be discouraged if you don't understand. We'll have lots more time to practice this. So basically, she had a very community-style classroom, and she was very reassuring to her students, which I definitely want to be like that for my kids. I want my kids to be able to trust me, and I want them to know that I want them to know that when they do something right, they should feel proud, and that when they're almost there, their classmates can tag along and help them out, and that they're not falling behind. I think it just helps them feel supported. So after the lesson, she basically had them work in groups or individually on practice problems, and she sat in the front of the room at a table, and if kids needed to go up, they could go up to her and ask her questions, and I thought that was really nice because it shows that she cares about them. And before she even had them do this, actually, she had them rate how comfortable they felt with the lesson, 1 through 5, so they would give the lesson a 1 if they felt that they were still really lost and they really didn't understand the material, and a 5 meant that they nailed it, they got it, they think they could do all the problems in the world. And so I think this was great because it shows how she holds herself accountable as a teacher and how she feels that she wants to make sure the way she's teaching is getting the point across and that the kids are understanding what they're learning. And also it shows that I think the kids feel a lot of support, like I said before, from her just saying good job and don't feel discouraged, but then also from her having this rating system, they feel individually if she sees that they have a low rating that she'll go up and help them. And I just think that's a really nice and reassuring way to run the classroom. So overall, I think that my the way that I contributed was actually after we left the classroom. So the two girls I was with and we walked out, and I started the conversation, and I was like, hey, what did you guys take away? And then I explained everything that I had taken away and my point of view on the whole situation. And then they connected their ideas with mine. They definitely had some things that they agreed on, but then they also brought up points that I hadn't even realized or thought about. And so I just think that by me starting the conversation and then them contributing, I just think it was a great experience, and it was a great way to see what others are taking away from the experience and what else I could incorporate in my future classroom. And so then the core value that I took away from this, or the mission statement I connected it to, was the one that says creating a learning community that supports opportunities to model teaching, learning, and mentoring by faculty, students, and professional partners. So basically, I think this because the process Miss Wynn used literally mirrored this idea perfectly. She taught the students the lesson in an engaging and very open manner, and she helped them through the use of her small guiding questions what do you think we do next and all that stuff. But then she had them work in small groups, which is also adding to the learning experience, and then she mentored them by sitting in the front of the room and having them be able to go up if they had more questions. So I think my experience at Pike was honestly amazing. I'm looking to be an elementary school teacher, not a high school teacher, so at first I was worried as to if I would be able to take away something that I could use in my classroom, but I definitely think that connected at least to this core value, part of the mission statement, I definitely think that I would want my classroom to be run like this. I think it's great how she used the iPad and projected everything up on the board, but how she still wasn't necessarily the only one teaching them. By having her ask those questions, the kids were kind of almost teaching themselves, proving that they were really grasping the material. And then I think it was great how she had them do individual and group work after to try and make sure they were really understanding the material and got to practice it on their own. And then I like how she sat in the front of the room and was there as someone they could trust and someone that they could go to for extra help and support. And so I just really want to take away that as a teacher, I want to be someone that my students could go to, and I want to be that person who's also saying good job, as I mentioned earlier, and always whenever my students do something right, I want them to know that what they did was great. And I think it's really important to have a supportive community where they know they can ask me questions, but also where I'm telling them what they're doing right and wrong to help them learn better. So overall, even though I want to be an elementary school teacher and this school was a high school, I think I took away a lot of information that I could incorporate in my classrooms in the future.